thrust of any conference on adolescence is usually the recognition of how different every generation of adolescence is from the prior generation of adolescence. What the commonality is, the constant commonality, and the dramatic differences. That what parent of an adolescent, by interacting with their adolescent, hasn't rolled their eyes without any movement at what the adolescent is saying and doing. And that's because adolescents are on almost every level. The basic core is the establishment of identity, but one of the most significant changes in adolescence literally has been the elongation of adolescence. Adolescence used to be, 100 years ago, adolescence was non-existent. It was only existent in urban centers where there was a time between an apprentice period, between childhood and adulthood. But even that was a very, very brief period of time. But adolescents who lived in rural areas or on farms, or kids who lived in rural, never experienced a moratorium period in which they were alleviated from responsibility. You were a child, you did chores, you got married, you were 14 or 15. There was no period of adolescence. And with the child labor laws, with compulsory education, that adolescence was given birth to. And then in our contemporary society, adolescence is becoming longer and longer and longer, and beginning earlier and earlier and earlier. Those behaviors that we see as adolescent are starting at age 10 and 11, and for many people are ending later and later and later. Just look at any Seth Rogen film and you'll see how long adolescence can continue for. But even textbooks for an adolescent psychology used to be called adolescent psychology. Now they're called adolescence and emerging adulthood. That you don't just enter into adult life, you emerge slowly. So the main thrust and understanding of contemporary adolescence is just that, the elongation of this period. Additionally, how incredibly technologically adept and informationally oriented kids are today, where books used to be the repository of knowledge, where the elderly, or we in higher education, used to be the repository of knowledge. Today, Google is the repository of knowledge, and how professionals and parents need to adjust, change, and ultimately understand the implications of these changes on adolescents.